This is your host of CivilNet, Eric Akopian, and we are honored today to have as our guest Ruben Vardanyan, a man who really does not need any introduction, but he's most proud of being the co-founder of the Aurora Humanitarian Award, outside of being a philanthropist, a businessman, and an all-around humanitarian.
Thank you.
Mr. Vardanyan, as you know, these are not very good days that we've had in the past 4 days. War is a terrible thing. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the events of the past 4 days. But I wanted to quote another humanitarian that you're probably well aware of, Andrei Sakharov, who in the late 80s, speaking of Karabakh, said, "Karabakh is a matter of ambition for Azerbaijan and it's a matter of survival for Armenia." What do you think that great man meant, and how do you see that in the context of today?
First of all, I'm very proud to be together with Armenian nation in these days. I believe it's one of the most important events in our recent history for many reasons. And one of the main reasons why I believe it's just a very critical days for us, not only because of the war, but also because I think we have a very high chance to explain our neighbors what they cannot win the war, despite all the advantage of the techniques or money that they have or whatever they're trying to buy from other neighbor countries or whatever they're trying to do using the war like the mechanism of bringing to peace to this conflict. It's no chance. And I think this last 4 days shown again everyone, including not only inside of Armenian Artsakh, but more importantly worldwide, what Armenia and Armenians can defend themselves without expecting any help from anyone. And I think it was very important because this is also the first time the conflict came with the Azerbaijan and Turkey coming very close together, and Turkey without giving any political protest, basically openly declare their support to Azerbaijan. And I think it was critical for us to show the world that we are strong, we are ready to defend our homeland, and this is our survival issue. The unification of our nation was unbelievable. I felt in Stepanakert when I was in Sunday, I felt now in Yerevan. I'm feeling it every day talking with many people from different parts of the world. And you can see unification of Armenian nation around this conflict. But I think it's more importantly, finally we're getting in a stage where we can solve the issue, which is very famous Russian humanitarian, very correctly described, but this issue needs to be solved. But the way how it can be solved only by negotiation.
Well, I think I just want to concur with you. For those of us who've been here, who have never been in a situation like this, I think it is almost indescribable to explain to people who are not here the feelings that one has and what one sees out there in the streets of how unified but yet not bombastic or hateful. And that's what's beautiful about it. And I just wanted to concur with you on that. I wanted to move on to speak about the Aurora Prize, and you're obviously this great project that you started with a few others. That project is fundamentally an optimistic one. It is an optimistic view of human nature, because from what I understand, the whole concept is you take a terrible tragedy like we had at the genocide, and then you use that to light the good things about today and the good things about tomorrow. So it is a grand and optimistic venture. However, I want to know how you feel about that grand and optimistic venture today when, as we sit here and speak, the flower of this nation is at the border, literally guarding us against people who have genocidal intent. The Talat Pashas of the world incarnated again in the 21st century. How optimistic can you be with the vision that you have with Aurora, with the horrible realities of today?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a very important question you're asking. First of all, I want to say I'm very proud to be together with my friend and partner Nubarafyan and our mentor and old friend Vardanyan, what we did 5 years ago. And I want to give a little bit maybe a long answer because what you're asking is very critical for discussion about what's happening today in Armenia. First, I want to say we started this program in 2015 and we realized it was a very unusual approach to talk about the genocide, talk about what's happened 100 years ago. And one of our main goals, there's a couple of goals, but one of the goals was explaining our own nations, what despite what happened with us 100 years ago, we're alive, we survive, we prosper, we are looking forward, and the main goal of Turkish nation who tried to destroy our nation didn't happen. We won. Because being successful, being strong, and being generous, it will show that the main goal of destroying Armenian nation was not achieved. So I feel very strong about today's event. It's Aurora was helping us to feel proud that we are Armenian, cannot give up, cannot lose. So overall, I think for Armenian nation, it was very important, and I felt it many, many times when I'm walking street in Yerevan or other places when ordinary Armenians came to me and said, thank you to your Aurora, not because of George Clooney, not because of the very famous Nobel Prize winner, because I'm feeling differently who I am. I'm feeling proud to be Armenian. And I think it was the most important message, what we achieve doing by Aurora, what we're doing something for other nations. And we are not the richest nation in the world. We have a lot of our issues, but we have enough understanding that it's important to help is not coming when you're rich. It's important when you are generous, when you are strong enough to give and kind enough to give others the time when it was not easy time for you. The same would happen 100 years ago when with other nations was helping us being the same in difficulties, including in Lebanon, in Greece, in Syria. I want to remind many Armenians who today watching this program, many of his families who help us be not in a very good shape either, but they thought it's important for him to help us, our grandparents, our families. So the second point I want to make about today's community, Aurora is an important humanitarian initiative, not only because we're giving something to the world, not just asking about our own problems, but also we're showing what we are like nation, strong enough to behave this way despite what's happening with us. And I think it's very critical. The third point I want to say, Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, it was not only about the past, but also about future. The gratitude in action, when you are giving prize and the money to laureate, but there's money going back to support other people, I think it creates very important snowball effect when the people really realize this is things which can happen with the prize when you continuing doing good things in different parts of the world. I want to remind all the people watching this program, we got 1 million more people got already a result from Aurora, and with 23 countries involved in this process, and in all different religions, Yazidi, Muslim, Catholic from Rwanda, Catholic from the United States, Tom Katena, and women from our mother and daughter from Somalia. It's showing it's not have a religion, no nationality. It's to showing example for our kids what you can be different, you can be strong believer of human values, and despite all happening around you, keep your human attitude is a critical core for yourself. It's very possible and very important.
It's an excellent answer. I want to ask you, going back to the issues of today, I don't think it's any secret that you're obviously a very well-known figure in Russia, and you have good relationships with many people in government and leadership there. How do you assess their response to this Azeri attack over the past 4 days? What do you see in their response? And as you know, when it comes to diplomatic things, there's always things that are said in public, which are official positions, and then there are somewhat other unofficial positions that people have. What do you see, and what is your basic response to what you've seen from the Russian side?
I want to be very clear. I'm not a political person. I'm not.
No, I know you're not. But
and I'm not involved in any discussion about the issues which is linked to decisions around the political or geopolitical. But I have my own personal view, which I believe it's very important to sometimes articulate very openly. Say we need to talk about 4 different things. First of all, I want to say it's very important with this conflict, which is happening with Azerbaijan and Turkey. And again, I'm emphasizing this is very clearly not Azerbaijan-Armenian conflict, it's Azerbaijan-Turkey and Armenian conflict. Armenia, relying for many of our partners, but at the same time understanding very clearly this is our own task. We don't need to beg anyone to help us, because it's very important to really find solution for this conflict. The only way we will show we are strong ourselves. It's why I feel this is what's very good for us, what we're doing, the way how we're doing. And we are not expecting that somebody will jump and help us. The second, we have an interesting situation in Russia, because people like you mentioned, Sakharov or other Russian intelligentsia, first time feeling very strange way, because they felt like Armenia occupied the territory, Armenian is a winner, and it's a little bit, we got negative attitude to what's happening in Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict, and people not realizing this. It's very critical, because before always been Christian nation was attacked by Muslim, we've been kicked out from Nakhichevan, was kicked out from Kars, we got kicked out from other Armenian lands, we've been killed, but let's help them. And the first time, we're not asking help because we've been losing. We're asking the justification and fair solution from conflict, which is not easy to accept for many Russian liberal people. Russian strong patriotic right wings believe Armenians not enough thankful for Russia and not enough thankful for Russia helping us, which is also partially true, because Russian army is staying in Armenia. Russia was one of the key guarantor of the peace, and we all know no other country want to really, not the United States, not France, let's be talk openly, no other European countries or United States ready to really give the strong commitment to support Armenia. And some Russians felt this is not fair with Armenians behaving not enough loyal to Russia. But it's also important what they realize, what we can defend ourselves with knowing with Russia staying with us. And I think it's very good for point of virtuous groups getting a message clear what Armenians doing. It's we're trying to find the right peaceful solution. For finding that peaceful solution, we're ready to fight and we're ready to show that we're strong. And I think nobody likes to have a partner who is weak. I think it's very important for us to understand, being Armenian origin, but I'm Russian citizen, I say you want to have a partner who will be strong himself, not depending from you. Because when you're dependability, you're a capable person and you need to be supported always. It's like being a welfare receiver. We don't need this model. This model is bad for us, not about talking Russians. So I think it's very important for Armenians who live in Armenia to understand the only way we can really have a real partnership relation with Russia, which has been our partners despite all the problems, hundreds of years, and we need to respect this and we need to be thankful despite all the issues which sometimes happen within our relation. But the way we can be partner, only we will be successful economically, successful socially, successful military, ourselves. This is why I think it's a situation when Russia stay a little bit indifferent from, or not indifferent, in distance. I think it's good for us to show what we are strong and we can be a good partner, being strong, not weak.
So we are essentially, to try to summarize it, it's better to come from you must come from a place of strength.
Yes.
To be able to be an equal partner in a relationship, even though the partnership is never really equal given the size of the country.
We don't need to go equal. Again, equal partnership is not what within the big empire and small country, but the respect what you're getting when you can defend yourself is different when you are fully relying from somebody.
I'm going to wrap up. It's very hard nowadays to talk about the future, but I think you're a man who sees the future, or at least tries to see the future. This war, like any other war, will hopefully one day come to an end. Faster the better. And almost, if you historically, frankly, since World War II, almost no war has had a decisive winner or loser if you look at it around the world. Most wars since then, even when engaged by superpowers like the United States or the Soviet Union, have many cases like the Korean War or Vietnam or Afghanistan have been some very disappointing results for the person who started it, and the results are inconclusive. So the most likely outcome here is, again, something that really doesn't please everyone. And it's not going to be decisive, most likely in one direction or the other. Let's just assume that for now. What comes the day after? And I don't want a political response to that, because we know what that is. Governments need to talk, the international community needs to talk. But tell us, what road is there for organizations like yours? What role is there for individuals of goodwill, frankly, on both sides, that can try to talk towards a solution, even if the solution is very hard or the solution is nowhere near distant or nowhere near to us? What role do you see? Is there a role for people to engage in that front?
Wow, it's a great question for many hours for discussion, and I know we have a limit over the time.
Well, you know, I have a half-hour show. If you want, we can come back to that.
I will happy to continue, because I believe this is one of the critical discussions which we need to have in a different.
In about a month, you can come back and we can have this discussion.
Let's hope we can have a flight, and we're happy to, or we can do by Zoom now. The Zoom is allowed. Also, I will be happy what we can do is together with Nubar Afea and with other our partners, because last 20 years we've been doing with Nubar and many of our other partners this discussion about future of Armenia, and talking about the difference between survival and prosperity, how we behave differently, how we continue thinking about long term and not only in election to election type of the time horizon. I can say very short couple points. First of all, I'm a strong believer that we have an amazing competitive advantage which we're not using very well. And this competitive advantage is not about diaspora, it's about our network capability that we've been using hundreds of years. And now the time of 21st century, we need to regain, relearn how we can use this network of the people are in our region who proud to identify themselves what we are Armenian, not only American, not only Russian, not only French or Lebanese. This is very important because network becoming critical for the 21st century. In our book, which we wrote with my co-partner Nubar and co-author None Alikian, name is Crossroad, I'm talking about a very important role that Armenia playing. We're only one nation who surrounded 4 different civilizations, Sunni, Shia, European, and Russian Orthodox. We're only one nation who kept our own identity at the same time, being neighboring, unique with 4 civilizations. Nobody else in the map of the world, if you look, have a 4th civilization border. So we need to relearn how we can work in India, Indonesia, and going back to the Silk Road way. We need to think about how we can position or build the bridge between Russia and Europe and in Iran and the United States. And this is the unique, but I think absolutely possible for us to build this type of the platform which will be used. Armenia is a strong state, and Armenia which will have its own institution, but at the same time using the network which will support the state and operate with the partnership between the state and network. The other point I want to say about the future, we need to come out from the survival mode. We need to think long term. When you're in survival, you cannot think long term. You can only think how you can survive tomorrow. So our major task is to bring not only very ambitious goal, which will be very difficult, but really think ambition and doing these ambition goals and execution. Mm-hmm. So I will believe what we did in DATEV, what we did in the FAST Foundation, what we did in Aurora, what we did with the United World College, Dilijan project overall, what we did in many other projects we've been doing together the last 20 years. We try to show what you can do ambition projects in a level which will be best international standards in Armenia, and to bring new attitude and new behavior despite all the challenges that they're facing. And last but not least, I think it's very important what we're trying to build a platform where people can talk about this. I believe the elite and the nation needs to talk about their future, what they dream. And the dreams can be different. Some people can agree, disagree, but we all need to learn and be accepting the other people's position to talk about how we see the future of Armenia, not just the role of the state or role of some rich people or some political exposed people, but overall nation elite needs to come together. And this is a very big challenge because we've been living in our tunnels. We don't communicate it. Lebanese Armenian and Iranian Armenian living in Glendale don't talk to each other. Armenians from Russia, Armenians from America usually don't know each other, don't trust each other. So we have a very big challenge, not only inside of Armenia, but outside of Armenia, how we can rebuild this trust. This is why we're doing this Armenia 2041 project, where we try and build a platform where the people can come together and talk about strategic vision, discuss, debate, disagree, but come finally some conclusions which can be executed in different platforms in a project based. And I think this is the only one way we can really think about the future, when we can learn to talk to each other, listen each other, respect each other, and share the experience and vision, make something together.
Well, that's an excellent answer, but I think I'm not going to let you leave here without a commitment to do a longer show on this. If you commit to that, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I promise.
I want to thank you for your valuable time. It was a pleasure having you here. As I said, we all know these are difficult days, but hopefully we come out of it stronger and more successful. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you. This is Eric from CivilNet, and we just finished our interview with Mr. Ruben Vardanyan.